Welcome to everyone out there. Now we're in chapter 80 in Enoch. We're going to get back into a little light prophecy here. It is over the end times, and I'm going to harmonize that with a few things that Christ said there about the elements in Matthew 24. Okay, and but here we go with the things that are going to change. We've been studying how these courses of the circling stars and sun and moon, they don't change their course. They do their duty. However, as the day of the Lord draws near, there's going to be signs in the heavens. And of course, the ungodly will not recognize that. They will not recognize even the elements that we're seeing today, the great earthquakes, the volcanoes going up, the sea roaring, the pestilences. See, they have an excuse for all of that. Okay, they have a lie being told that the great men of the earth, the merchant kings, are controlling the weather and all this. Well, we're seeing here God controls the weather out there, does he not? So here we are in chapter 80, and we're going to get into this, and this is where I'm just more comfortable in prophecy. I just am. So on we go here. In 80 it says, "In those days the angel Uriel answered and said to me, Behold, I have shown thee everything, Enoch, and I have revealed everything to thee that thou shouldest see this sun and this moon, and the leaders of the stars of the heaven, and all those who turn them," notice the turning, "their tasks and times and departures." 2, it says, "In the days of the sinners, the years shall be shortened." Isn't time flying by, folks? And here is why, right here. The years shall be shortened. "And their seed shall be tardy on their lands and fields." Okay, and we see that the trouble's going to be out here in growing food. Okay, and this is their physical seed. All right. And we see that in the book of Revelations, right before the day of the Lord, where even the vineyards are going to be dried up. So there we go with that. It says, "And there's tardy on their lands and fields, and all things on earth shall alter." Now, a good place to see some of that, I'm not going to go into it here, but it's in 2nd Esdras. The stars above falling out of tune, man, and the elements of earth really giving us the signs of the times, okay, but the ungodly will not recognize it. So all things on earth shall alter. There are some vivid descriptions of that in 2nd Esdras. Folks, that's up on the podcast. If anybody wants to go there, load it down with MP3. Get it on your hard drive. Okay? We did the whole thing, 2nd Esdras, and you'll see this described there. So all the things on earth shall alter and shall not appear in their time, and the rain shall be kept back. Now, Christ prophesied that. He said there's going to be drought and famine, and the heavens shall withhold it. And in those times the fruits of the earth shall be backward, and shall not grow in their time. And the fruits of the trees shall be withheld in their time. All those are signs of his return, folks. And the moon shall alter her order, and not appear at her time. And in those days the sun shall be seen, and he shall journey in the evening on the extremity of the great chariot in the west, and shall shine more brightly than accords with the order of light. And that is also prophesied in there, that at one point the sun is going to start scorching man during the tribulation. Okay, so that we've gone over too. Revelations is right up there on the podcast. Just scroll back there and go over it. All right. Okay, so, and shall shine more brightly than accords with the order of light. And 6, and many chiefs of the stars shall transgress the order prescribed, and these shall alter their orbits and tasks, okay, and not appear in the seasons prescribed to them. And the whole order of the stars shall be concealed from the sinners. And the thoughts of those on the earth shall err concerning them, and they shall be altered from all their ways. And here's the ungodly. Here's the worship of the heavenlies, the sun, the moon, the stars, and they think they're gods. And that goes way back into paganism. It says, yea, they shall err and take them to be gods. Okay? And there is your worship of the, say for instance, the Pleiadians and all these terrible demon-like creatures that have been around forever. And they do worship the sun, the moon, the stars, and they believe in this ufology. See? And the ufology is tied right into Satanism. And evil shall be multiplied upon them, and punishment shall come upon them so as to destroy all. Okay, so that's Judgment Day. That's the last days. That's what we're living in. Okay, so that being said, we'll go right here to Matthew 24, and we're going to go to 29. 29 in St. Matthew 24, verse 29. These are the words of Jesus Christ, and that harmonizes totally with Mark 13, Luke 21, 25, Mark 13, 24, Isaiah 13, 10, Joel 2, 31, Ezekiel 32, 7. All those are notes from the translators of the King James Bible. Like I said, this stuff is all through the Bible, but here it is, and this is Christ speaking. In a new paragraph mark in 29, it says, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. All right, and we'll get a little bit more here about what did Christ say about, let's go to 21. For them shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. So notice there that the days are being shortened, folks. Okay, so that's just a couple, and we're not going to get bogged down with that. Like I said, if you study these prophecy books, and they're all up here, you can read right along, and it's a good way to learn. And anyway, we're in chapter 81 in Enoch. It says, and he said unto me, that's Uriel, the great archangel, to Enoch, observe, Enoch, these heavenly tablets, and read what is written thereon, and mark every individual fact. And I observed the heavenly tablets, and read everything which was written thereon, and understood everything, and read the book of all the deeds of mankind, and of all the children of flesh that shall be upon the earth to the remotest generations. So that's all the way to the end of time, folks. 3, it says, and forthwith I blessed the great Lord, the King of glory forever, in that he has made all the works of the world. and extolled the Lord because of his patience, and blessed him because of the children of men. And after that I said, Blessed is the man who dies in righteousness and goodness, concerning whom there is no book of unrighteousness written, okay? And that book of the ungodly is all through the Bible. And you're written in the book of life before the world was began. And here's this book of unrighteousness, and you see that right in the book of Revelations there. They're being judged, and there's multiple books. And this ungodly book of the ungodly is right there in Revelations. It's recent. We did it again. Just scroll back there and go over it. Hey, I might go over it again just for the fun of it. And again, whom no day of judgment shall be found. You're right. You're not being judged because of the blood of the Lamb, right? And those 7 holy ones brought me and placed me on the earth before the door of my house, and said to me, Declare everything to thy son Methuselah, and show to all the children that no flesh is righteous in the sight of the Lord, for he is their creator. Again, here's the 7 candlesticks, the 7 stars. Okay, and we've been over that. We harmonized that with Revelations and everywhere else. It's the 7 angels there are throughout the whole Bible, folks. They just are. And here they are. In Enoch also. And notice here the unrighteousness of anybody born in the flesh here. Okay? And that harmonizes with the doctrine. All of it. It's throughout the Bible. All right, so he's being left here to give this doctrine to his family and his people. Now, that's what I'm saying about the people that try to say that Enoch was written, okay, in 200 BC. And that's just untrue. You see, they belittle it by saying that. Here you see how far back this is. Methuselah, that's way back in the bloodlines of Adam and Eve. Okay, this is the longest living individual in the Bible. Okay, and so when they say stuff like that, they can't get out of it because these fragments were in the Dead Sea Scrolls. So they'll go back to the Dead Sea Scrolls, and those people were there about that time, see? So they can't deny that. But when they start to talk, and they do this to the Bible too, they say, we're the great theologians, believe us, don't believe that old stuff, see? That's what they do. And one of the ways they do that is to say that things were written after the fact. And even speaking of the Dead Sea Scrolls, they had the whole Book of Isaiah there in the Dead Sea Scrolls, complete. And before that, the theologians were saying it had to be filled in afterwards. It was a living document, and they penciled in all the prophecies after the fact. There's no way that was written when it says it was written. Okay, the people penned it in later. Well, the Dead Sea Scrolls came, and then we had a document that was 1,000 years older than any of the documents in our possession, and that knocked those theologians off their chair. They had to shut up, back up, and find a different lie to tell. All right? And so, like I said, here it is. It's been given to Methuselah. That's clear back 200 BC. Baloney, theologian. That's just the way it is. This is an old document here, very old document. And anyway, on I go. All right, so declare everything to thy son Methuselah, and show to all thy children that no flesh is righteous in the sight of the Lord, for he is their creator. 1 year we will leave thee with thy son, till thou givest thy last commands, and that thou mayest teach thy children and record it for them, and testify to all thy children, and in the 2nd year they shall take thee from their midst. And that goes right along with what the Bible says, that Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for the Lord took him. He was translated. That is a fact. Okay? So this goes right along with Genesis. It says, let thy heart be strong, for the good shall announce righteous to the good. The righteous with the righteous shall rejoice. See, that's where we're headed, folks. Our victory is coming up here. And shall offer congratulation to one another, but the sinners shall die with the sinners, and the apostate go down with the apostate. And those who practice righteousness shall die on account of the deeds of men. Now that's the attack on the saints that's talked about in the book of Daniel and other places. Okay, but not everybody, many of us are going to be called up hither, or maybe we'll be martyred. It doesn't matter, as long as we get where we're going here, to this great supper of the bride of Christ, the marriage supper of the Lamb. Okay, so on they go, but many people here are martyred in 9, and be taken away on account of the doings of the godless. And in those days they ceased to speak to me, and I came to my people, blessing the Lord of the world. 82, it goes on, and now my son Methuselah, all these things I am recounting to thee, and writing down for thee. Okay? So, does this sound like they're 200 BC? Folks, this is during the time of Methuselah. And I have revealed to thee everything, and given thee books concerning all these. Okay? So preserve, my son Methuselah, the books from thy father's hand, and see that thou deliver them to the generations of the world. And I'm glad he did, because we're getting it now, aren't we? I have given wisdom to thee and to thy children, and thy children that shall be to thee. Okay, that they may give it to their children for generations. This wisdom, namely, that passeth their thought, and those who understand it shall not sleep, but shall listen with the ear, that they may learn this wisdom. How about that? And that's the same thing we say today. We say, hey, you get in the Bible, you get to know the Lord, you start to seek the wisdom and understanding that comes through the Holy Ghost, and you are now wide awake. You have ears to hear, you have eyes to see, and you'll know the signs of the times, won't you? But shall listen with the ear, that they may learn this wisdom, and it shall please those that eat thereof better than good food. How about that? We're getting the doctrine, and that's a nourishment for the soul, right? In 4 it says, blessed are all the righteous, blessed are all those who walk in the way of righteousness, and sin not as the sinners, in the reckoning of all their days, in which the sun traverses the heaven, entering into and departing from the portals for 30 days, with the heads of thousands of the order of the stars, together with the 4 which are intercalated, which divide the 4 portions of the year, which lead them and enter with them 4 days. Owing to them men shall be at fault, and not reckon them in the whole reckoning of the year. Yea, men shall be at fault, and not recognize them accurately. How about that, folks? For they belong to the reckoning of the year, and are truly recorded thereon forever. One in the first portal, and one in the third, and one in the fourth, and one in the sixth, and the year is completed in 364 days. And the account thereof is accurate, and the recorded reckoning thereof exact for the luminaries, and months, and festivals, and years, and days, has Uriel shown and revealed to me, to whom the Lord of the whole creation of the world hath subjected the host of heaven. And he has power over night and day in the heaven to cause the light to give light to men, sun, moon, and stars, and all the powers of the heaven, which revolve in their circular chariots. Okay, see, that's the circling stars. And I said it over and over. You get a time-delayed camera and set it out there. Believe your eyes. They are perfect circles. They just are. There's no doubt about that. Even Life magazine published that years ago. The circling stars. No question. And the North Star is fixed. That is the heaven of heavens. That is the third heaven. The North Star. 8, it says, and these are the orders of the stars, which set in their places, and in their seasons, and festivals, and months. Okay, on we go in 10, and these are the names of those who lead them, who watch that they enter at their times, in their orders, in their seasons, in their months, in their periods of dominion, and in their positions. Their 4 leaders who divide the 4 parts of the year enter first, and after them the 12 leaders of the orders who divide the months. And for the 360 days there are heads over thousands who divide the days, and for the 4 intercalary days there are the leaders which sunder the 4 parts of the year. 12, and these heads over thousands are intercalated between leader and leader, each behind a station, but their leaders make the division. And these are the names of the leaders who divide the 4 parts of the year which are ordained. Milkiel, Helam Melech, and Mel-Ejal, and Narel. And the names of those who lead them, Adner-El, and Ajes-Uza-El, and Elmi-El. These 3 follow the leaders of the orders, and there is one that follows the 3 leaders of the orders, which follow those leaders of stations and divide the 4 parts of the year. In the beginning of the year, Milkajel rises first and rules, who is named Tam-Aini, and son, and all the days of his dominion, whilst he bears rule, are 91 days. And these are the signs of the days which are to be seen on earth in the days of his dominion, sweat and heat and calms, and all the trees bear fruit, and trees are produced on all the, and leaves are produced on all the trees, and the harvest of wheat, and the rose flowers, and all the flowers which come forth in the field. But the trees of the winter season become withered. 17, and these are the names of the leaders which are under them: Berkael, Zele, Bizel, And another who is added, eighth head of 1,000, called Hilu Joseph. And the days of the dominion of this leader are at an end. 18, it says, the next leader after him is Helam Melech, whom one names the shining sun, and all the days of his light are 91 days. 19, and these are the signs of his days on the earth, glowing heat and dryness, and the trees ripen their fruits, and produce all their fruits ripe and ready, and the sheep pair and become pregnant, and all the fruits of the earth are gathered in, and everything that is in the fields, and the winepress, these things take place in the days of his dominion. 20, it says, these are the names and the orders and the leaders of those heads of thousands: Gida, Igel, Ki-el, and He-el, and the name of the head of 1,000, which is added to them, Asphel, and the days of his dominion are at an end. Okay? All right, so I'm going to stop there and get this up there for everybody. And next time we're going to be at the dream vision, and he's going to be talking directly to his son Methuselah. And that's where we'll pick up on the next podcast. Enjoy, folks. Keep studying, keep learning, and we'll catch you on the next podcast. Bye-bye.